Hey, I'm Tim C.
Hey, I'm Landon Blank.
You're listening to Hacking Concrete.
Walk into it. All right, hold on. Are we getting this?
Yeah, we're getting it on.
Okay, we might need to. You did the intro.
Hey, we're here with Rick Lobdell. What is the name of your business?
Concrete Mystique.
Concrete Mystique. Rick Lobdell, Concrete Mystique. We were just talking philosophy.
Yes.
And I think we're out of our league, Landon.
Wait, all right. We're just gonna let him talk.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Yeah. So you were hitting on a little bit about how you got here. How in the world are you here?
Okay, so
Not the road here, but here.
no, but like why I'm in this industry.
Right. Why are you here?
You know, it's a weird thing, but I mean, I grew up in Ohio. You know, my parents were a factory worker, so I grew up hardworking. And I wrestled for 10 years, so I just knew that whatever I was going to do, I had to work hard for a living, and it wasn't going to be easy no matter how you look at it. And so I, even though I went to art school, you know, I mean, you think about it, you go to art school and everybody's like, oh, you went to art school, that must have been easy. Art school is one of the hardest schools to go to. It really is, because you have to find out who you are. You know, I mean, I went to grad school, and in grad school, they're sitting there going, like, who are you, and what do you think? Why do you think you have a right to be an artist?
Yeah.
What is it about you that makes you different than everybody else, and what's your voice and why? And I was like, that's crazy. I never really thought about it that way. And it really messes with your mind. It's not that simple. It's really complicated to try to find yourself and find your art form. So then you get out of school and you're like, well, what am I going to do with this degree? Well, the art world, in all reality, is pretty much over. It's been over since Andy Warhol. He kind of ruined it for everybody, because when he came out with artwork that was an advertisement, it was like, well, then everything's art. Now where do you go from there?
Yeah, I gotcha.
You know? Yeah. And it kind of really messed up your future of like going into galleries and being the next Picasso. That really doesn't exist anymore. So then it was, well, what am I going to do as an artist? Because I'm not going to give up. You know, I'm not going to just go work a day job and forget about it. So when I moved to Nashville, I literally was looking for a job for like a year. I was struggling. I did some tile work, but I really was having trouble trying to understand a bigger city because I'm from small town America.
Yeah.
And so then I took a job with Concrete Mystique. I actually started with the company, and when I first started working, we were doing 1 foot tile patterns and brick patterns. And I was like, what do you mean we're doing 1 foot tile? Like, this is not tile? And I'd just been doing tile for years. So I was like, what do you mean this is not tile? And I had to wrap my head around the fact that we're drawing the tile on the floor and then cutting it into it. You're not actually laying it down. You don't have to lug the tile, the thin set, the Durarock, you know, so all that heavy weight that comes with doing tile or brick, you don't have to do that. You're just cutting it into the concrete. It blew my mind. I had no idea something like that was even possible. So I got the job, started working for him, and within the first year, I started to get bored of doing 1 foot tile all the time.
Because that was you guys' thing.
That's all we did.
Yeah.
Every single one flat color, 1 foot, one tile. That's it.
That's what we did in like early 2000s. That's what we did all the time. Everyone did that.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. And so then I started going into the clients and going, look, I'm getting paid by the job, not by the hour. I'm really bored doing 1 foot tile. Would it be okay if I did a 3 foot tile pattern? Hey, let's do a medallion in the middle. I'm really trying to do some cool things. Let me try to do this medallion in the middle.
So you did this on sold jobs.
Yep.
Jobs already sold.
Yep.
You're like, hey, I'm bored with this. Let's mix it up a little bit.
Sometimes we change it up a little and turn the tile on a 45-degree angle and call it diamonds.
Yeah. Well, I always do 45 on purpose, actually. There is a visual reason for that, too. And so then I went back to the boss, and I was like, look what I just did today. I think I can upsell this. So we made a deal, and I went back to the next job, and I was like, hey, I know we're going to do 1 foot tile, but, you know, I'd really like to do a medallion for an extra $500, or what if I stain your border for an extra $500, a different color? And then I came back to the boss and was like, look what I did, and here's $1,000. And so then within a couple more months, I was doing such crazy designs. He's like, I would never do that in my house, ever. And I was like, what? I mean, this is awesome. And he goes, you want to just buy the company?
Nice.
And I was like, yes, I do, because this is awesome. I had no idea you could do this.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I did a medallion, I came home to my wife. This is hilarious, because my wife is a molecular biologist at Vanderbilt University. So, you know, I married a genius. So I come home one day, and I'm like, hon, you wouldn't believe that that geometry class and that algebra class really was important. I really do need that from high school. Who would have thought I needed geometry? And she's like, look, hon, I do calculus every single day. What's your point?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Pythagorean theorem is handy dandy when you're laying out squares on a 45.
But then I like to teach that you don't need it anymore. There's ways to do the same exact thing with your straight edge.
Right.
You know, and that's what we were talking about a little bit ago, is that I really like the idea that I like to teach people math. I don't want to scare them with the math. I want to show them that you can do this and it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
You know, like, I love plotting points, and the fancy word for plotting the points is the Cartesian coordinates, but it's really just plotting points on a grid inside of a quadrant, you know, and understanding that if you can draw one quadrant, you can map out the other three, and it's very simple math. It's not, you don't have to be scared of it. You just have to know where to start.
You, I believe that, is there an article that you wrote in Concrete Decor? Yeah, you wrote an article that had the Cartesian stuff in it. And I love that, because I sat there and just stared at it and just studied it, trying to like get my head around it. I love that magazine and stuff like that, people that share that kind of stuff, because it was like, would you remember when it was? We can look it up.
When it was, no, it was a couple years ago now. No, I don't, because I wrote a bunch of them in a row.
I'll put a link in the profile. There's like, there's like 3 in a row of like, one was how to lay out diamonds and squares or whatever, and then you like went further from there. I love stuff like that. People that give away that kind of knowledge. Like,
I did it all on purpose too. I did it in like, I had a pattern to it. I wanted to keep you with the basic and go, here's a step further. Once you learn this, here's a step further, until I got the Cartesian coordinates. And then I said, well, now that we got here, the sky's the limit on the things you can do.
Right. Yeah, I love that. It was really cool. Really cool thing that you did.
So I'm thinking from a customer mindset of, like, I'm looking down the design you did. This awesome, lots of stuff going down here.
Impressive in the time that you cut that too. Like,
yeah, just this crazy design.
You realize I drew and cut that in less than 3 hours.
I know.
And
it was impressive. Like, I didn't see you cut it. I left and I came back and it was cut. It was impressive.
It was one of the funniest things. And when I taught a class here at Decocrete a month ago, when we went to do one of the patterns, I usually let the guys cut, and the one guy walked up and goes, no, you're going to cut it because I'm betting on how fast you cut it. And I'm like, excuse me? And everybody's like, I'm in. And they all bet on how fast I would cut it. And it went from like all the way down from 8 minutes to 31 minutes on how fast I would knock that thing out. And I finished it in 9 minutes.
So you like the stand-up Engraved saw? You like that
I love it. I love everything about the Engraved line, and that's not an advertisement.
Yeah.
I like the quality of their products. I have an engraver that I've started with from day one that is 20 years old that I still can use today.
Yeah, our Mongoose is about 18 years old. It's awesome.
I use it all the time.
Just a beast.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
So again, how are people finding? Are people finding your business for that more so, or the regular patterns, or
are they coming for that, or are you upselling still?
Upselling.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an upsell, but the way I look at it is I don't really advertise anymore. It's all word of mouth because of the quality of the work and my clientele. It's all about building up your clientele. My clientele are the ones that like to talk to each other and like to one-up each other. And so my neighbors are talking to each other and calling me, and that is where they go, well, I know what you did for them. What can you do for me? And that allows me to get very creative. And you have to time it. The one thing, you have to look at it 2 different ways. I mean, we are still talking about business. As much as I am an artist, I am still running a business. So I have the foundation of basic tile diamond patterns, and my Ashlar pattern is my favorite one to do, where you still break up the space and it's an asymmetrical design.
Do you always cut them? Usually cut them?
Yes.
Cool.
Take us through a regular patio that you're doing. Are you prepping the surface? Is this new? Are you overlaying it?
Depends on the condition, but because I don't pour concrete. That's one of the funny things to me is I've never poured an ounce of concrete in my life. And so I go into them thinking about really what they're looking for. I pay attention to them. I don't come in there and go, what would I do? And I get a lot of clients that are always like, well, you're the artist, what would you do? And I said, you can't afford what I would do. We're just going to stop you right there.
Right. They might, though.
And you have to live with it, I don't. Yeah. So it is about them. And so I like to walk through their house and see their decor, see their lighting, see their wall details, see the fabric on their curtains. I look at things and find out what appeals to them and how I can coordinate that. And no matter what, I can always do a pattern. No matter what, I can always go back to a tile pattern or an Ashlar pattern. But what I try to do is I try to get them to dream and think big. Because when I first meet with them, I'm not doing it that day. I'm not doing it the next day.
Sure.
I'm coming back a month or 2 later. So I give them time to go, look, the price isn't going to change unless you really go bold. Here's my price. I don't price per square foot. I price per job. Here's my price. What do you want me to do while you're here? I'll tell you if you're asking for more than what I'll do, and we'll talk about it. And I have no issues with that whatsoever. It blows their mind when they find out what they really can do. It's just they've never thought that way, and you have to open their mind up and then let them go imagine and come back to me with ideas.
Okay.
That's cool.
So once you get once you get it all laid out, you get your pattern laid out. What's the process of it?
Well, so a lot of times if I'm doing an exterior, I'll probably assistain the whole thing first.
You'll assistain it first.
Yeah, or I'll do a solid color. It depends on the condition of the concrete. If it's a pool deck, how hot I want it to be. You know, on a pool deck, I'll do more of a solid colored stain and keep it cool and keep the colors. You know, one of the things I try to pride myself on is I focus on design. You know, back to your kind of point. I don't really do much overlay unless I have to. If the conditions are that bad and I have to overlay. Mm-hmm. So my competition is going in there and doing the cool deck or the knockdown finish or overlay in solid color all the time. So instead I go in there and go, well, how can I compete against that but do design? So my profit is in design. So I might charge $1 or $2 more a square foot than you, probably not much more, but I don't have all that material cost.
Sure.
I put it into design instead,
Gotcha.
and it's pure profit.
So you would lay down the color, then carve it.
And then I draw it, show it to them, cut it, and then I'll stain the borders, stain all the details, stain all the character, and then I end up having to recut. It's the one thing to my process, because I'm using the wider blade from Engravicrete instead of the saw blade. You know, since I'm not a concrete guy, I don't think expansion joint size cut line. I think the facade like a tile. Going back to being, from the tile industry, I think about what a grout line looks like, and I like that wider, thinner, that's not very deep. But the catch is I have to cut twice when I stain multiple colors.
Sure. Yeah, we use the wider blade too and have that same problem.
And that's not easy. No. That is very hard to do. The recut for us at times.
Do you use the cover?
That's easiest.
Do you use the cover part? Do you use the stand-up saw, or do you like a hand grinder?
No, I hand grind everything.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't follow the lines with the engraver because you can't see it. There's no way to follow it again. So I freehand it all. But you already have a line to go in. So once you hit the line, I can run right through that line faster than I did the first time.
Yeah. See, we'll try to recut the mongoose. And then recut again. And oh man!
But that's the one problem. Of course, I'm not being safe. I'm not, back to a safety point of view. I'm being dangerous because I'm going to have issues with dust collection, and in an interior that's complicated, and I got to wear eye protection. I got to make sure I'm being safe by doing that. That's one thing Engravicrete doesn't like that. They're very hardcore about safety in a good way. They should be.
Yeah.
And so they would tell you to use the mongoose. They would tell you to use the wasp instead. I just typically go for it, and it's how I taught myself, and it's hard to break that habit.
That's what I did that too. An angle grinder and a 2x4.
I don't even just.
Well, not anymore, but I know. But that's kind of how we when we would do those.
That's how I train people. Yeah.
Yeah, those diamond patterns. That's what we would do. It'd be before we had the mongoose. It was literally an angle grinder riding on a 2x4.
Or one of the biggest problems too is if the concrete has a lot of ups and downs to it, you can't hit all of those. So then you have all those spots you have to recut no matter how you look at it. It gets complicated that way sometimes too.
Yep, that happens a lot. Crazy.
Yeah. You got any good stories about projects? What's the hardest thing you've gone through with
worst
work?
case? We love telling these crazy stories.
Okay, well, I'll tell you a crazy story. It's not the hardest. I'll tell you a crazy story. You guys won't even see this coming. So I did a project for one of my builders a couple years ago, and I got onto the job. I was doing a back patio, screened in porch, and I saw these like rivers of discoloration on the concrete, and I was looking at it going, what in the world happened here? So I said, it's like you guys acid washed the brick after you poured the concrete, and they were like, oh, well, yeah, we did. I'm like, why would you do that? So I couldn't acid stain it anymore because they had ruined the surface. So I had to dye it. So I go in and I dye it. I do my job, do everything great. They had dripped glue all over the place too. So the dye hid 90% of my issues. But then I have to hand brush my border, which is really complicated to do. So the next day, I'm done. The next day, the contractor calls me and says, client wants to talk to me. They're not happy. And I'm like, well, remember, I'm saving your butt by, the fact that you did that to me. But okay. So I would go in there, and I'm not kidding. I walked in there. I was like, hi, how you doing? She goes, I really like this area. This stuff's not too bad. I know that some of this had nothing to do with you, but this border here, well, it just looks like a 3-year-old stained it. And I'm like, excuse me? What'd you just say? I have a master's in painting, and you just told me I paint like a 3-year-old?
That's when you hand her the brush.
So I got really aggressive with her, and I said, you don't talk to anybody that way. You were telling me your house is taking forever to get done. If you're talking to all the contractors this way, it's no wonder they don't care how fast they work. You can no longer be in my presence. You can never talk to me again. I will come back here on my own time and take care of this little problem. It's not a big deal at all. Don't ever call me again. So I told the contractor, came back, fixed it, no problem. A couple months later, they're like, hey, we need you to go back and do her driveway. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, why would you send me back there again? So
That's a good story. That's great.
Oh,
My hero.
So it gets better. So I go back and I treat her perfect. I'm acid staining the borders of the driveway and the rest of it's aggregate. So it's just acid stain the borders, seal the whole thing. I did samples with her. Everything was fine. She loved every little detail. I had to stain it twice. Wasn't quite dark enough, but everything was good. A month or two later, she calls me personally, and I'm like, now what? And she's like, well, my front porch, I know it's stone. I know you don't do stone. But my front porch is discolored, and I'm trying to figure out how to clean it, and I don't trust them. I only trust you. And I'm like,
why do you trust me?
I didn't understand it at all. She has referred me to multiple clients. She calls me every 2 years to reseal. She's been one of my nicest clients ever since then. She's never formally apologized to me, but they have told me that every time she brings me up, she knows how rude she was to me.
Okay, so what's the story we need to tell? So how do we treat customers now from that story?
Be mean.
Well, it's just the reality. It's just don't treat us the way you want to be treated.
Right.
Period.
You just don't let them push you around. Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's right.
And it's amazing that what will happen from it. You know, like if you take it, then she has no respect for you. But when you go, whoa, you don't need to treat me that way, all of a sudden they realize they're being the jerk. And it does sometimes work. But I'll tell you to the same point, some of her friends that she referred me to were just as much of a pain. One of them I walked off on. I was like, I don't need to be treated this way.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because if you think back to we did this job at this racetrack, and the owner of the place we're working, he got in my face and like, F this, F that, you're awful, like went nuts, and it was so bad that like I actually didn't even speak. I just left, and Landon stayed and talked to him. But it's funny you say that though because that was the same deal. They ended up like offering more money and like, please come back and do this and that, and we'll pay you more. It was just like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I mean, I didn't even say anything because I felt that was so like, I don't know if abusive is the word. It was so extreme that like I couldn't even reply. I didn't even know what to say. So I just left.
Sometimes it's the way people work, man.
And I know. I guess you just gotta put your foot down.
And then you know the other side of the story is those rare clients that will let you be an artist and will let you do whatever the heck you want to. Those are sometimes the best clients, but also sometimes the most hectic because then you're terrified that they're going to really like what you did. And I have one in Chattanooga, Tennessee that I have done. I've done 13,000 square feet at this one house. I still have 7,000 more square feet of the driveway I can go back and do. And he has let me be an artist, and I've won 2 or 3 national awards on that one house alone.
Wow,
I mean,
congrats.
the time of my life, the best designs, and whatever that, you know, the stuff that puts you on the map are those clients like that. And I mean, I just can't get over how much fun I've had there. He's become a good friend of mine now. I don't get clients like that. One of the things for me is I'm very business. I'm not personal. You're not going to be my friend. You know, this is business. Once I'm done, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Don't call me back unless you need a seal. If I get a phone call from you, I freak out. As an artist, you know, when we paint a painting and you sell you a painting, we never see it again. So what's the difference? So it kind of bothers me sometimes. I'm like, I get terrified every single time a client calls me that I've had because I just don't know what to do. And
I hate that feeling. Do they want more or are they complaining?
Yeah. We work's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch you.
It's funny. It's funny to hear. It's funny to hear other people that are, because you're pretty well known in the industry, and it's funny to hear other people that are well known and have the same struggles that we have.
Yeah,
like it's.
right.
Well, you know, the other funny thing to that is I still don't understand that I'm well known. Like I still can't wrap my head around how I really am.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling. I'm like, I am. Are you sure? Because you know. I
read
never
about you in
understand
some
that.
magazine. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, I'm just having fun and doing my thing.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that I found this industry that I can have a voice in. You know, back to being an artist and going to art school. Who would have thought that I could have found an industry that knows nothing about art and be all this creativity, and then I could just sit in the corner and be like, hey, I'm just this artist doing my thing and keeping to myself and not giving out the secrets and stuff like that. And I did for a long time until I finally came around to the fact of, so what? You know, in my hometown, I'm extremely private. You know, you want to come to Nashville, Tennessee and do a project, I will not help you at all. It's my town, it's my rules, but the rest of the world is allowed to know everything about me.
Gotcha.
And it's a weird feeling for me, and I like that.
Tim
you know,
and
it's
I
a
like
lot
that
of
a
fun.
lot. I
I really
get
like
that
that too. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to train the guy next door to do exactly what I do.
No.
Yeah, I get that.
That's funny. You say you don't know how you're well known, but like if we're being honest, like I know the name, and I remember I remember stuff. Like I read that article that you wrote, and I know the name. I got it. But the way that I knew that I knew you when I saw you today was the hat.
Yeah, that's right.
And that is on purpose.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
that's a very good point. And last night I was out and one of the guys was like, you know, do you have other hats? Yes, I do, but this is what I wear when I'm on a job doing this in front of a live audience. I wear this same hat all the time. I'll wear another hat tonight when I go out and I'll look different.
Yeah.
But everybody still recognizes the hat and I get compliments. You're right. It is stand out and not in a negative way. It's a positive thing. You know, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's what happens when you lose hair. You got to have fun with it somehow.
That's right. That's funny. Yeah. So we were talking earlier, and the reason that I recognize him, we go to the same party every year at the World of Concrete, at the Concrete Network party. So we go to the Gordon Biersch Brewery, and we eat the free chicken wings and
great beer.
Yes.
and see you walking through there all the time. So that's
Always see that hat walking through.
Yep.
Luckily, I'm tall enough you can always see the hat first.
That's right. That's right.
You're out there talking to people,
hilarious.
and we're standing in the corner being awkward, just like high school.
Well, that's why they asked me to be a host one year, because they know I'll go up to you if I see you standing in the corner.
Yeah,
they
right.
know I'm going to go up to you and go, well, really? Well, why don't you go talk to this person and get some people
that's good,
talking,
that's
then I
good.
walk away. I love that party. This whole industry. I mean, it is a talkative industry. It's there. For example, I'm a member of the American Society of Concrete Contractors. I'm on the Decorative Concrete Council board, and I'd never poured concrete in my life. I'm like, what do I have to offer? I don't even understand why you want me to be a part of this, but I love it. I love every second of it. I think it's awesome to give back to the industry when I have such a weird point of view of everything. And it makes it so much more fun.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because we're members of that too. But
when are you going to do a podcast for that then?
We don't know how to use our membership. We don't know what we
won a first place award.
We won awards and stuff. You know what I mean? But we don't
I have
know.
16 awards with them.
Nice. We have 5 maybe.
Oh, I can help you out with all of this.
So we don't know
because we were trying to do this. Okay, so this is what you need to do. You need to did you when you did that? Did you check the box where you're a decorative concrete person too?
We get the emails and stuff from Decorative Concrete Council. And
okay, so you need to get involved with the council, and you can just join, and you can come in every month and listen in on our meetings, and then join a committee. You don't have to be a board member. You can join
virtual?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they used to just be on the phone. Now virtual. I mean, I don't know what it's cooler that it is virtual now too. Like one of our newest board members is he does social media for everybody. He does all my social media and stuff like that.
Danny?
What's that?
Danny?
Danny, yeah.
Okay.
He just became a board member.
Cool.
And so
I like Danny.
You know, you guys could easily come in there. We were going to try to do a podcast, for example, and Joe Primavera was the main guy that was going to do it, and then he had health issues, and now he can't do it. We've been dying to do that kind of stuff. When the conventions come back up, come this September, if they do their convention this year, you should be going there and podcasting everybody, all the different aspects of the industry, and that's what's going to get your name to all of them and go, hey, we want to talk to you more. Hey, we want to help you out. How can we help you out? That's the perfect way to do it.
I mean,
and I will be right beside you the entire time, asking the questions for you guys if you need me to, because I know all of these people now.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I mean,
thank you for saying that. That's awesome.
We were so bummed though, because we won these awards. We won the resinous flooring over 5,000 foot, and we won the project video and a few things like that. And the thing was supposed to be in St. Louis, I think, and it got canceled.
Yeah,
but
so
we
you won the video
psyched.
for the metallic. That was you guys?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
It was a great video, and it was a cool project. It was crazy that you had to do that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
great. That's great.
I thought the virtual award was even better than doing it in person, though.
I liked that part of it, but it didn't feel like we really met anyone.
Got to meet people,
you know, it was so. I was like on my back porch watching it during the lockdown. It was.
That was the one we passed off, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I like the way that we did that. I think we need to do something between the two, but we've always done it at World of Concrete.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were trying to do for that moment was to get you guys to our show or to our conference ourselves, so you could see more about what ASCC does. Because if you don't go to that conference, you don't understand where your money is going, and you don't understand the benefits that you can get out of it.
Well,
if you don't have that time to meet those people and find out all the networking that can happen. The one thing that I look at it as, I tell people all the time, is you can go to World of Concrete and you can see 70,000 people walk by you while you're doing something, and they'll probably remember who you are, but it's a blur. You can go to Concrete Decor and you can have a couple thousand people, mostly focused on what you're doing, and it's kind of cool, and you get a little bit more of a network. But then you go to ASCC, and there's only a couple hundred people, and it's the biggest names, the most important people, the biggest manufacturers, and you go into round tables. I sat in a round table once with 3 manufacturers and 2 or 3 contractors, and we can ask them whatever we wanted.
I got
and
you.
they're sitting there, and none of them are going, "Oh, well, that's not what my product does."
Oh,
How could you say that? They're all going, "Yep, it's exactly the same thing."
Yeah.
You know, like I learned one of the most important things in that meeting. I learned that you can dilute solvent-based sealer for, like, when you first put down a sealer on your patio, you can dilute the first coat or any coat of the solvent-based, but you cannot dilute the water-based. I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Nobody else in the room, like all of us are going, no,
Wow.
none of us knew that.
That's funny.
You know, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah,
And
it is,
all
it
3
is.
of the the manufacturers were going, "Oh, no." And so those are the things you get out of it. I mean, who knew that? You can add water to a urethane, but if you add water to a water-based sealer, it's already made to the exact amount of water, you know, because the solvents that are in there are different. You can't dilute those solvents. That's not how they're made.
That's
I
weird.
never
didn't know
thought
that.
about it that way.
No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Right.
That's fascinating.
Well, that's all. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
That's great to hear.
That's funny you've seen that video. We were unsure about that because we were kind of goofy in the video.
Yeah, it was extremely goofy. I tried to do a very professional-looking video the year before, 2 years before, and I lost horribly bad to Tom Ralston. I mean, he's another amazing person with the videos and the documentation of what he does with his work. He blows my mind. I would do anything to work with him, even though I don't pour concrete. I wish there was a way to merge his brain and my brain. We could make the ultimate designs between the two of us.
I agree
but
with that.
He doesn't need me. You know, he's awesome in his own right. So.
Right. I'm sure he'd probably say the same about you, though.
Maybe. I don't know. He's got a bigger ego than I do in a good way. He
funny.
actually helped me start. We were in Columbus one year for ASCC, and we went to the art museum together there. Just the 2 of us. Took a taxi there. We walked through these amazing churches on the way back, and it was the first time that I was able to tell people my world from my degree and everything like that. And so then I went back and told everybody, man, we had this great time. So the next year I said, hey, I got a group of people. Hey, you want to go to the art museum? 2 years later, they put it on the schedule. It is now one of the things that you can sign up to do, to go to the art museum with Rick Lobdell. And what I do is I don't take you there and just tell you, oh, this is Picasso and this is why he's great. I go in there and I tell you materials and methods. I show you failure. I show you mistakes. I show you how were they trained. Were they trained wrong in the first place? Is it because of the material? Is it because of the process? Is it because they didn't prime it correctly? You know, Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. for
Is
real.
it outgassing because they overcoated it too fast?
Yeah.
all the time.
You know,
funny.
it's crazy to think about.
It is crazy to think that they have those issues.
The oil-based
Wow.
paints never dry inside. They skin, but they never dry inside. And so eventually it's going to break down. Is it going to come out the back because you didn't prime it correctly? Is it going to pop and create a crack,
That's funny.
just like we have with...
That's a whole different way to look at art.
I never thought
That's
about
what
that.
my tour is. It's
Yeah.
showing you that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins your love of the art because it takes away from you're just looking at the art.
Yeah.
But I walk in, I get in trouble every single time by security because I get too close to show you what's going on. But people don't realize there's a whole industry out there. You can get your degree in art restoration. You know, that's a whole nother field in its own right, just to save this amazing artwork that's out there. There's millions and millions of dollars in artwork, and they're on a regular basis being maintained.
Wow.
And they've been being maintained for centuries. And so you can go back and you can see all the mistakes through technology now. You can see this was fixed in the 1800s, and they did this wrong. And then you can go back in there and fix it if you need to. You never think about that kind of stuff. You know,
Wow.
like the Mona Lisa has
grief.
been repainted. Like 80% of the painting nobody realizes that. It's not even on its own canvas anymore. Because they didn't prime it right, so it dissolved from the outside, the inside out on the back side of it. So they had to remove it off of its canvas and put it on another canvas. Think about that madness.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Man.
They removed the concrete and put it back.
If only we could just lift it off and put it at another house, right?
That's funny.
That's awesome.
Well, cool.
Well,
This has been informative
yeah,
for me.
It's been,
I don't
we try to
I
keep
don't know
it
if
at
they will
15,
care, but I always thought it was
15,
interesting.
20. Yeah.
Sorry, I could do this all day.
That's been amazing. So, again, where can we see your website and all that?
www.concretemystique.com.
Yeah.
And think about how to spell Mystique. I'm not a mystic. It's Mystique. It's Mystique. every time I get all the time, people say it's concrete mystic, and I think that's hilarious because I'm not a mystic at all.
That's funny.
I'm mysterious or
Yeah.
But
You're a mysterious mystic.
Yeah, but and you can. I've got a YouTube, where you can see some of my videos. I'm not very good at it. I don't really do a lot of talking or anything like that. I do a lot of time lapse, so you can just watch it. You can go to Concrete Decor and read all my articles, and I have videos attached to most of those.
What's your YouTube channel called?
It's Concrete Mystique also.
Okay. Are you on the Instagram?
I am. It's Concrete Mystique also. Yeah.
Okay. Good deal.
I'm pretty sure that's all of them. Trying to think of anything else.
Well, I'm going to follow you so I can ask you a lot of questions when I'm in
I've got to fix
summer.
the website because I switched it from. My personal artwork is lobdelluniverse.com. So if you want to see what a master in art does outside of the concrete world, that's even crazier because I do. The funny thing is, what I didn't get to yet is, my paintings are Dr. Seuss on acid paintings, is what I call them. And the reason why I say it that way is they're wild Dr. Seuss landscapes with crazy things, bunnies running around. It's obnoxious. But the thing is you get 2 pairs of 3D glasses with each painting. That's where I make the joke about and they're 3D.
Sick. That's great.
They're extremely 3D.
Oh, cool.
And they're a lot of fun. But the catch is the reason why they come across that way is actually because I'm colorblind.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So that's a whole nother conversation when it comes to the concrete world and how I match colors for other companies. And, I just had a panel discussion where they were asking how I adjust color combinations and stuff. And they're all looking at me and not a single one of them realize you're talking to a colorblind artist that is known for matching color.
That's funny. Do you have the glasses that help with that or whatever? That's relatively new.
No, I don't. I tried them on once. That was a weird thing. My wife's boss is also colorblind, so they bought them for him, and she brought them home and made me try them out. And I haven't decided if that's a cool thing yet or not.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's kind of like I always think that I'm right and you're wrong.
I got
and
you.
So it's kind of a weird feeling to find out I'm actually wrong.
Yep. A guy that kind of helped us learn how to grind concrete was colorblind, and I won't get into the whole story, but hooking up power and trying to figure out what the wire colors as he was doing it, it kind of got us in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, that could be dangerous.
I'd be right there with them.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for talking to us.
Absolutely. Had a good time.
Thanks,
for
man.
inviting me.
Fun.